I love going to John's apartment. He is surrounded by books. He's surrounded by music.
Books everywhere, and CDs everywhere, and models everywhere. It's this big toy chest somehow. His curiosity is something you can't contain.
It's always, what if we did this? It's never like, well, we can't, or no, or any of that. It's always, what if?
He's always questioning, always looking, interested in something new.
He'll say something like, do we really need the overture to Dutchman?
I think the greatest quality that any artist or anybody in the world can have is curiosity, because it will just keep leading you further and further and enriching your life further and further.
When I think of what he did with Of Mice and Men, which was not like Il Re Pastore, not like Werther, not like any other of the productions that John had done, except it's like all of them somehow.
He's such a varied designer. It's difficult to pick one thing. Often something red. He liked that.
Give John 3 red chairs and he's going to make a Tannhäuser with it somehow, miraculously.
Most designers create scenery. John creates space, especially in opera where music is telling so much of the story, and there's an abstraction already in the fact that people are singing their innermost feelings. John was able to manipulate and control emotional space as opposed to physical space.
Once I had my first taste of John, I felt like I'm always referring to the kind of dialogue that we've had in all the work that I do.
There was a hunger that both of us satisfied, I think, in the other, in some funny way, in the work we did together. I would have a big idea, or he would have a big idea, and then we would just run with it.
When it's working, you cannot say whose ideas these were or where these things came from.
When we did Il Re Pastore, he showed me a model. It's a very simple, sort of childlike thing.
These little boys come out and they write Il Re Pastore and they conjure up these 6 characters, and it's all from the perspective of these children. And it was so refreshing. It reminded me again that you don't need all that other stuff. This simple idea presented well is everything in the theater.
The system is all sort of screwed up because when you're a young designer first starting out, you should have lots of money. Then as you get older, you get less and less because you begin to trust the energy of the performer and of the event rather than stuff. What would happen if we took away from the production budget and added a week of rehearsal? That might, in the long run, be more valuable.
And as complex as his mind is, there's also a very youthful little child inside, and he loves to play.
Any production is a very volatile and complicated sort of chemical lab experience. And if you put one drop of something, it will change the whole thing. Sometimes they will produce gold, sometimes it'll blow up. Not to just sort of play around for play around's sake, but to play around because that's how you learn.
What I think John's strength as a designer and as an educator is that you're going to keep exploring the idea until you nail it.
He doesn't let you cut corners. Everything the audience sees or hears or feels is part of the event.
And always wait for that moment in a production. It happens sometimes, but not all the time, where the production will start to tell you what to do.
John always says you never know if a wig is right until you get the orchestra in the pit.
You have to see everything together and see what it does, not what you told it to do. And not what you thought it was going to do. You see what it does. And then you go, oh, right. Now it's telling me to do this, and it's telling me to cut that, and it says, that dress should be red.
Something's going to happen backstage where a piece is supposed to come on, and for some reason it comes on backwards, but John loves that it comes on backwards, and so then you have to figure out how to do that every time, which it wasn't built to do at all.
Again, but the production said, I want to do it this way. Look at this. This is the way I want to do it.
As tiring as it sometimes was, it always got better.
I think John does not aim to inspire. John pulls you with him in his wake.
He had a way of getting everybody to be as deeply invested in the project as he was. He had such a huge following among the interns, and they had so much loyalty towards him that we could make anything happen on stage.
And he invested so much joy into designing the company float for the 4th of July parade.
That's very much the view the community gets of the opera, and so it was great that he would always work so hard on it.
I learned from John as much as all those young people working at Glimmerglass.
He really opened a lot of people's eyes to what greater potential there was in the telling of stories in the world of opera that could make the pieces more vital to all of us.
He has shared his passion, ideas, real love of opera with generations of young designers.
I don't think I could still be doing this if it wasn't for the joy that John brought to the process.
That first 18 years of my career in theater with John is what I will continue to work towards getting again.
If I could establish another opera company someplace, I'd do it for John, because his ideals, his goals are just exactly what I think opera should be.
He's more influential than I think he even realizes himself. And nobody has that touch.
He's made opera modern.
Unlike architecture or painting, it gets thrown away at the end, which I think is so wonderful. I mean, people say, don't you feel terrible when they're taken away? Say, no, no. It does not exist without the performance, and then it only exists in memory.